Cozy games are having a serious moment right now, and the Switch and Switch 2 are absolutely packed with them. Whether you're into farming, exploring, or just vibing, there's something coming for everyone. Here are the top 20 cozy games you need to have on your radar right now. Littlelands is a charming action-adventure life sim where you play as a big-headed little kid, dropped into a world full of quirky characters, magical landscapes, and way more danger than it first looks. You start by farming berries, fishing, catching bugs with a fishing rod, yep, the same one does both, and digging for treasure. But then you start meeting NPCs, doing quests, and unlocking new areas, and the game slowly opens up into something deeper. Dungeons filled with goblins, skeletons, and bats show up when you start poking around restricted zones. Your inventory is limited, so you're always making choices about what to carry. You can craft dishes, grow crops, and collect fossils for the local museum. The whole thing has this personality-loaded humor, including a narrator who straight up breaks the fourth wall and begs you to put in a good word with the devs. The Witch's Bakery has you playing as Lune, a cheerful young witch who moves to Paris and opens her own bakery. Each day is split into 3 phases. During the day, you run the shop, serve customers, and manage your little crew of baker friends. In the evenings, you head out into Paris itself, exploring streets, building friendships, and literally stepping inside people's troubled hearts to help heal their emotional wounds using your magic. At night, it's all about restoring your powers, baking new recipes, and decorating your cozy atelier. The whole progression system ties into earning experience, building fame, and getting closer to the NPCs around you. The city unlocks over time, and each character you connect with carries their own storyline. It's got this warm, emotional RPG loop that feels fresh and personal. The art style is vibrant, the Paris setting is gorgeous, and the idea of baking magical bread to fix someone's broken heart is honestly such a fun concept. Village in the Shade looks like a peaceful Japanese countryside farming sim with gorgeous hand-painted art. And in many ways, it absolutely is. You play as a young traveler who gets lost in the mountains and ends up taken in by the village of Kagatsu, earning your stay by working the land. You grow vegetables, raise livestock, craft furniture, fish, and join in seasonal events like cherry blossom viewings and summer festivals. But the game comes with 3 strict rules. Don't talk to strangers, don't leave the village, and don't go out at night. When you break those rules, things get unsettling fast. Phantoms appear, the atmosphere shifts, and the cozy mask slips to reveal something genuinely creepy underneath. The devs even included a safe livelihood mode for players who just want the calm farming experience without the horror elements. Developed by Nippon Ichi Software, the studio behind Disgaea, this one blends yokai mythology and Japanese folklore into its bones. Froggy Brews is one of those small indie games that quietly snuck onto people's radar and refused to leave. You play as a tea-loving frog, returning to your old neighborhood after years away, and the world you left behind has changed. The core mechanic is brewing tea. You prep cups, decorate them with a customization system, and serve them to villagers. But the tea is really just the vehicle. Every cup you make unlocks a story, a piece of someone's life, a moment of connection. The narrative is soft and gentle, built around rediscovering your sense of belonging, somewhere that no longer looks the same. There are no combat mechanics, no timers, no fail states. It's entirely about the rhythm of brewing and listening. The game featured in Wholesome Direct 2026 and has a demo already live on Steam. The tea house itself was recently redesigned and feels warm and inviting. From the makers of Cast and Chill comes Wild and Chill, a cozy wilderness survival game set in the Canadian and Alaskan backcountry. Where Cast and Chill kept you on the water, this one puts you on land, and there's a lot more to do. You hunt, fish, trap, forage, craft, and build your way through the wilderness, managing your hunger, firewood, and camp safety while trying to keep wolves out and warmth in. The whole thing runs at your own pace, with no pressure to rush or optimize. You can play solo or bring in up to 4 players in online co-op, which makes it a genuinely fun hang with friends. Building a cabin from a lean-to into something solid is one of the core satisfying loops here. The game has that same laid-back southern drawl energy as Cast and Chill, like it was written by someone who's genuinely happiest around a campfire. One Piece Grand Gourmet is a restaurant management sim developed by Kairosoft, the studio behind Game Dev Story and Mega Mall Story, set entirely in the world of One Piece. You join the Straw Hat crew aboard the Baratier No. 2, a floating restaurant that starts modest and needs you to build it into the greatest dining destination on the seas. The core loop has you gathering ingredients, working with Sanji to develop new recipes, designing set menus, and decorating your restaurant with over 200 pieces of furniture and decor. Devil fruit-inspired dishes are part of the menu, which is a genuinely fun nod to the source material. Over 400 One Piece characters show up in a brand new pixel art style designed specifically for this game. Familiar faces as customers, rivals, and even staff members you can recruit. The whole thing is single-player and completely cozy in pacing. Go-Go Town is a town-building sim with serious energy. You're the new mayor of a rundown tourist destination that a shady corporation called TownCo basically conned you into managing. The whole place is a wreck. Your job is to plan neighborhoods, build shops, set up subway systems, hire workers, automate supply chains, and attract tourists until the town is thriving enough to break free from TownCo's grip. The mechanics are genuinely deep. You're managing production chains, optimizing logistics, stocking shelves, and setting up courier routes. But it never feels stressful, because you're also just out here high-fiving cows, riding a go-kart track, and dancing with locals when things get overwhelming. Online co-op supports up to 4 players on PC and 2 players on Switch. The Switch 2 edition releases July 15th to 16th, 2026, with full terraforming, major landmarks, and a 94% very positive Steam rating already behind it from its early access run. Farming Camp takes the farming sim format and drops it inside a competitive summer camp setting. You play as Alessandra, a teenager who signs up for Evertree Farming Camp with one goal: win the title of Top Evertree Farmer. Each day you're handling chores, tending crops, doing mini-games that test different farming skills, and building relationships with a cast of fellow campers who each have their own personalities, rivalries, and storylines. The narrative hits like a visual novel at times, with your choices affecting friendships and how certain arcs play out. It's not an open-ended sandbox, it's more structured than that, more like a coming-of-age story wrapped in farm mechanics. The 2D hand-drawn art style is warm and detailed, and the game runs around 15 to 20 hours of content. Developer Innerfire Studios and publisher Sodesco have been putting out regular trailers, and the emotional story trailer released in early 2026 showed real heart. Moss, the Forgotten Relic, is the long-awaited console and PC debut of one of the most beloved VR game series ever made. If you've never played Moss on PlayStation VR, this is your chance. And if you have, this is the definitive version. It packages both Moss and Moss Book 2 together with the Twilight Garden bonus content, all remade and redesigned for flat-screen play. You take on the role of the Reader, a mysterious entity who guides a tiny, courageous mouse named Quill through a fallen kingdom filled with environmental puzzles, tricky combat, and breathtaking diorama-like settings. The dual perspective mechanic is what makes it special. You're simultaneously controlling Quill on screen, while also reaching into the world as the Reader, helping her navigate and fight by interacting with the environment directly. Quill visibly looks to you for guidance and reacts to your presence. It hits Switch and Switch 2 on July 16th, 2026. Hela, a gorgeous third-person open-world adventure set in landscapes inspired by northern Scandinavia. You play as a tiny mouse familiar whose beloved witch has fallen ill, and it's up to you to venture out, forage ingredients, brew magical potions, and heal her. The world you explore is handcrafted and seamless, flowing between dense forests, mountain trails, enchanted ruins, and tranquil lakes. Puzzles are physics-based and often require cooperation if you're playing with friends, which you can in local split-screen or online co-op for up to 4 players. Solo players use a shade system, summoning magical echoes to help solve team-based puzzles so you're never locked out of content alone. There is no combat at all in Hela. Everything is built around kindness, curiosity, and discovery. Acts of kindness you perform in the world literally ripple outward and change how NPCs and environments respond to you. It launches November 19th, 2026 on Switch 2. Moonlight Peaks. Instead of embracing the dark legacy your father expects, you pack your coffin and move to the Dracula family's abandoned homestead in the magical town of Moonlight Peaks, full of werewolves, witches, and mermaids. You rebuild the farm, grow enchanted crops, raise magical livestock, learn witchcraft spells, and shapeshift into different forms to explore the town. There are over 24 romanceable characters and 7 distinct families, each hiding their own secrets. You manage your time carefully and have to return to your coffin before sunrise. Beyond farming, you've got fishing, foraging, potion crafting, embroidery, flower arranging, and even a card game called Nocturna to collect for and play against residents. The whole experience is built on proving to your skeptical father that compassion is possible, even for the undead. Developed by Little Chicken and published by Xseed Games, it launches July 7th, 2026. Starsand Island is a massive anime-inspired life sim set on a coastal island called Starsand, the place your character grew up. Your childhood friend Solara greets you when you return and helps you get started, but from there it opens up into one of the most content-rich, cozy games in this whole list. You choose from 5 careers: angler, crafter, explorer, farmer, or rancher, and build your life around whichever path fits you. There are nearly 100 crops to grow, over 40 vehicles, including skateboards and gliders, a romance system, seasonal festivals, and a fully modular building system where you can construct 3-story villas by moving walls, doors, and roofs however you want. It draws heavy influence from Studio Ghibli aesthetically and Stardew Valley mechanically, but the scale of customization goes well beyond either. The Nintendo Switch 2 version, with full multiplayer and romance support, is coming this summer as part of the 1.0 full release. My Time at Evershine is the 3rd game in the beloved My Time series, following Portia and Sandrock, and it's going bigger in every direction. You play as the governor of a brand new frontier settlement called Evershine, tasked with building it from the ground up, while the Alliance of Free Cities faces a looming threat from the Duvos Empire. The post-apocalyptic world, set 330 years after a catastrophic day of calamity, is your backdrop as you gather resources, build infrastructure, recruit settlers, and develop your town into a real presence near a contested border. Up to 4 players can play together in online co-op, with the host controlling story pacing. You recruit companions who join you in daily tasks or go on solo missions, and relationships can develop into romance. The art style is more realistic than the previous games, with motion-captured animations that add a new layer of expressiveness to the cast. Neverway is the kind of game that could only be made by a team that genuinely cares about every layer of what they're building. Developed by Cold Blood Inc., co-directed by Pedro Medeiros, the pixel artist behind Celeste, and Isadora Sofia, with music by Disaster Piece, Fez, Hyper Light Drifter, this one starts like a cozy life sim, and then slowly, deliberately becomes something else. You play as Fiona, who burns out, quits her job, and moves to a remote island to farm and start over. Then she becomes the immortal herald of a dead god, and a nightmare reality called Neverway starts bleeding through. The daily loop has you farming, cooking, decorating, and building friendships with over 10 characters. Each friendship bond unlocks combat abilities and buffs you'll need when Neverway pulls you in. Combat is top-down and action-based, Zelda style, with crafted tools like a hookshot that open new areas. Time moves in 3 blocks per day, and you decide when to advance. Grave Seasons is a pixel art farming sim, where you play as someone who just escaped from jail and is trying to quietly start a new life on a farm in the small mountain town of Ashenridge. Very normal setup. Except, someone in this town is a supernatural serial killer, and they started picking off the residents. You still do all the usual stuff: grow crops, fish, mine, sell your goods, and build relationships with the locals. But in the background, murders keep happening, and you've got the tools and knowledge to investigate them if you choose to. Here's the wild part. The killer is randomly chosen from the town's NPCs at the start of each save file. That means no 2 playthroughs are the same, and the game's cast of characters, including the killer, can all be romanced. Your choices about how to engage with the threat change the town, change the relationships, and determine who lives and who doesn't. Cozy Grove: Camp Spirit is the long-awaited sequel to the 2021 original. And this time, the setting has shifted from the original haunted island to a mysterious new one where you end up stranded after a bus crash. You're a spirit scout now, and your mission is to explore the island, befriend ghostly spirit bears who need help recovering memories from their past lives so they can find peace, and gradually rebuild your bus, and hopefully reunite with your lost scout troop. The daily loop is familiar and deeply relaxing. Craft, decorate, fish, cook, and complete quests, while the island's watercolor art style shifts and brightens as you make progress. New to this entry are dog and snail companions, a massive cast of new spirit bears, seasonal events, and a form of asynchronous multiplayer where you leave gifts for friends without needing to play at the same time. Camp Spirit launches July 15th, 2026 on Switch, Switch 2, and all major platforms. Spyro is back. After nearly 2 decades without an original entry, Toys for Bob, the team behind the reignited trilogy, has brought the Purple Dragon back in a completely new adventure. Spyro, A Realm Beyond, finds Spyro stranded in a strange new world, and just as he's trying to figure out how to get home, a vicious invading force called the Scavs shows up and starts tearing the place apart. He has to make new allies and fight to protect this realm before it's changed forever. The big deal here is real flight. Not gliding, not limited flight sections, but full, true dragon flight. You soar above landscapes, weave between treetops, dive off massive landmarks, and chain together aerial maneuvers with full freedom to navigate the world your way. Tom Kenny returns to voice Spyro, which is the only voice that matters. It's coming to Switch 2, PS5, Xbox, and PC in spring 2027. This one is going to be massive. Witchbrook. You're the newest witch in the seaside city of Mossport, attending Witchbrook College to learn spells, earn badges, and carve out your place in this richly detailed world. The city is enormous, drawing architectural inspiration from Cambridge and the Dordogne region of France. You get around on foot, by broom, or by moped, and the game features a huge cast of students and townspeople to befriend and potentially romance. Up to 4 players can team up in online co-op. Chucklefish, the studio behind Starbound and Wargroove, has been building Mossport with extraordinary care, and playtesting has reportedly finished with the team implementing feedback before launch. A specific date hasn't been confirmed yet. Chucklefish said they'll announce it when they're completely happy with the game, but it's still targeting 2026 for PC, Switch, Switch 2, and Xbox Series X/S. This is one of the most anticipated cozy games in years. Fields of Mistria is already one of the best farming RPGs in years, and its 1.0 launch on August 5th, 2026 is going to make it even better. You move to the town of Mistria, which is still recovering from a devastating earthquake, and the village leaders offer you a plot of land in exchange for your help rebuilding. The gameplay has everything you'd want: farming, fishing, mining, animal breeding, crafting, dungeon exploration, with actual combat and magic. But what sets it apart is how it handles its community. NPCs have real schedules and talk to each other. Everyone gathers at the inn every Friday night, and the game actively encourages you to show up. The writing is sharp and funny without ever trying too hard, and the relationship systems are some of the best balanced in the genre. The 1.0 update adds marriage, children, the completed town repair storyline, and a raised hearts cap for all your favorite characters. Dragon Quest Monsters: The Withered World. You follow Bianca and Nira, 2 young heroes from Dragon Quest V, Hand of the Heavenly Bride, as they set off on a quest to find the legendary Leaves of Life, which are said to heal their sick fathers. Along the way, they're joined by a passionate companion named Deborah, the mysterious being Fluffy, and the chaotic oddball Fizzy. The core gameplay loop is monster catching, raising, and battling. You scout wild monsters from across the Dragon Quest universe, befriend them, raise them up, and then combine 2 monsters through synthesis to create brand new, stronger creatures you may have never seen before. Each monster has its own traits, attributes, and learnable talents, and you fine-tune your party to match your exact playstyle. The overworld footage shown in trailers looks smooth and polished, a significant improvement over the previous entry. Yuji Horii himself wanted it released before Dragon Quest XII, and Square Enix locked in December 3rd, 2026. And that is your top 20 cozy games coming to Nintendo Switch and Switch 2. From farming sims, to Ghost Bears, to Vampire Life, and Baby Spyro, 2026 is genuinely stacked. Drop your most anticipated game in the comments, and hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one.